very good evening and welcome to the FlipSide Webinar Series, a panel discussion sharing lessons from books we have read. My name is Jamila Rizwan. I'm a member of the Pick a Book Ocean Teens Club and also the moderator this evening. Before I introduce our wonderful panelists, let me first tell you a little about Pick a Book. It's a global movement for readers. They say the best way to learn is teach somebody. We encourage the reading habit by getting all the participants to select a book, read and research about it thoroughly, and present a summary, which also helps to hone his or her public speaking, communication, and presentation skills. By doing this, Pick a Book not only inculcates the habit of reading but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. So, without further ado, let me introduce to all our wonderful panelists for today. We have quite an interesting session lined up. So, our first panelist for today is Devanmi Vijayaratna. She is 14 years old, attending Musaeus College. Her favorite genres are fantasy, classical, and literature and adventure. She likes reading, music, and learning new languages. Hi Devanmi, how are you doing it?
Hello, Jamila. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Bit nervous, but I'm fine.
All right. So our next panelist is Harish, who is currently a final year undergraduate at pursuing computer science at Apit. He likes to spend his quality time reading books, watching documentaries, and sports. Hi, Harish.
Hope I'm
Hi.
audible.
Yes, you are audible. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. All right. So now let us move to the main part of the session. So I guess the mom is having a tiny technical issue, so she won't be able to on her camera, but we'll yet go ahead with it. So my first question is up for Devani. Devani, who is the author of this book?
Okay, so the author of the book which I chose, being Miss Nobody, is Tamsin Winter. Well, she's a pretty interesting character if you ask me. I love her books. Tamsin Winter grew up in a tiny village in Northamptonshire where there was literally nothing much to do. So she spent most of her childhood reading books and writing stories, mostly about cats. She has a degree in English literature and creative writing and has been teaching, traveling the world and daydreaming most of her life. She currently lives in Leicestershire with her son, and Being Miss Nobody is her first book.
Wow, that's some interesting stuff about her. She's done some really good stuff, and interesting to know that it's her first book. Right. So coming to Harish, your first question is, what is this book about?
Well, talking about the book that I'm going to talking about is the compound effect. So to speak about in a nutshell, the book, the compound effect, is talks about how small actions that you do on a daily basis or rather consistently can lead to a hugely successful results in both terms of business and life. So the book basically gives you a practical everyday steps and goals to create that real change in your life. And the author, who is Darren Hardy, wrote the book as a guide on how to take the ownership of your own life through the small decisions that you make on a daily basis. So that's the entire concept about the book, the compound effect.
Right. Now, that was pretty interesting. It's short and sweet and just summarized the book very much. And I think this book really gives out some good facts regarding taking decisions, and it's just something which we all should definitely know. Looking forward to know more about the book. Right. So coming back to Devani, what is the plot of the book?
Well, the plot is that our main protagonist, 11-year-old Rosalind Bank, is transferred to a new secondary school because of her selective mutism, which is a mental disorder that she has. But the problem is she hates it there because she's the weird girl who doesn't speak, basically the mutant. And and it's easier to pick on someone who can't fight back or talk back. So Rosalind decides to start a new blog, Miss Nobody, a place to speak up, a place where she has a voice. But there is one problem. Is Miss Nobody becoming a bully herself? That's the main question of the book.
Right now, I like the fact that this book is speaking about a mental disorder and all that, because it's common issues we face nowadays, and I feel like Gerber really had a hard time coping up in her secondary school. Right, looking forward to know about it more. Yes, come. In a second, this tiny technical error that's happening. Give me a second. All right. Uh, yes, I think it's okay now. Give me a minute. Mm, Alright, sorry for that tiny technical error I faced in the laptop. So, coming back to Harish, so can you tell me what you learned from this book?
Well, the key thing that I learned is that how the choices we make, basically the choices that we make in everyday life, shape your destiny. So everything in your life exists because you first made a choice about something. So the book says that the choice is all the center of all the success and the failures. And it is what we choose that makes the difference, the key difference. And one of the key things that I learned from the book is to how to create the right momentum and how to keep your momentum going without being obstructed by certain decisions. And also how the choices of habits that you may not even know you're making can either inhibit or accelerate your future. So those are the key things that I would say that I learned from the book.
Right now, there's something that really got me hooked up in this thing is that it speaks about the daily habits, the daily things, the daily decisions we make, which really sums up to the bigger decisions later in life, which is really interesting. And I think the audience is also very like eager to know more about it. Now we'll keep that aside and come back to Devanmi. So now, Devanmi, can I know what is this story? What is the story?
Well, the story is simple. It is a big story. The story starts with our protagonist, 11-year-old Rosalind Banks, who is diagnosed with selective mutism when she was 9. She describes it as being very weird compared to other children her age because while they talk freely with their parents, with each other, she couldn't muster up one word. Um, as she grows older, her disorder becomes a common thing in her family. Since she can talk freely with her family, she doesn't have much of a problem inside. But outside, she's not, her selective mutism just works up and she always has, people think of it as a like she's really shy or painfully shy when she isn't. And her condition is later forgotten because of her little brother Seb's condition with leukemia, and Rosalind is left to fend for herself. And after 3 years of discussions and therapy, her therapist, her speech therapist, doesn't get a word out of her. So she is transferred to a new speech therapist and a new school, which is how Rosalind's life becomes living hell. And Rosalind gets bullied and picked on by her classmates because of a speaking disorder, and it gets worse because she can't fight back. And bullying gets worse. She decides to finally snap and start a new blog called Miss Nobody. It is a safe place that she created for the bullied children in her school because she realizes that she's not the only person who's been bullied. Um, the blog goes really well. It gets a lot of good criticism, and it's an anonymous blog, so nobody knows it's her. She doesn't have much of a problem with it, and her life gets a bit better. Her speech therapist is making really good progress, and she's starting to speak a lot. And she even makes a best friend, which she didn't think she would ever do. Her best friend Elsa, who is very very kind over her and like very protective and encouraging over her selective mutism. And but the bullying just keeps getting worse and worse, and this her final slipping point comes when she is elected to a science fair, which she doesn't want to do, but since Elsa is her partner, she decides that she doesn't have much to worry about. But in the fair she messes up really bad, and she becomes a laughing stock for the entire school. After like this science fair, her bullying becomes more harsher, which results Rosalind into making her blog more harsher. By this point, it's obvious that she's letting out her feelings and anger and pent up sorrow through her blog, but while she shuns the bullies, and then she becomes a bully herself in a way. And condition keeps getting worse, and she can't speak. Selective mutism just keeps getting worse and worse, and then her final strike hits when her brother dies of leukemia. The little brother that she really loved finally dies of leukemia, leaving her heartbroken and dejected, and basically in a really rough point in her life, being bullied with the little brother dead and her family falling apart. She decides that she has to do the right thing, starting by apologizing to the people that she bullied in her own blog and closing down and shutting down the blog completely. And then finally, she tells the truth to everybody in the annual reading contest. She decides to take up the microphone, go up to that stage, and be confident in herself. Ignoring all the remarks that the children were shouting at her at that time, she rises up and says these few words: "My name is Rosalind Banks, and I am Miss Nobody. Only I'm not a nobody, and neither are you." And that's the entire story in just my words. I mean, you gotta read it. It's a really good book.
Not gonna lie, I got hooked up the entire time because this feels like my kind of stories and my kind of books, which it's like overwhelming to see such a journey she went through from being a bully to finding a best friend who is really kind and supportive to her, and then losing her brother and family falling apart, and she becomes like a bully to others, and then coming back she realizes and becomes kind. She speaks up for herself, who someone who really doesn't do it, and those words were really powerful. And I can already feel like how she would have felt, because I think everyone needs to know that bullying is not going to be the ideal thing. No matter if it's something small or something big, bullying can be serious. And looking at how she coped up with everything in life, it would have been really really difficult for her, but she aced it. And I feel like the book really showed so much emotions in this, and you really put it out perfectly. Right now, really interested about that part, and now we'll come on to this. So Harish, time back to you. What are strategies for eliminating bad habits mentioned in the book?
So, talking about the bad habits, is one of the key things that I love about the book is that it teaches you the strategies to eliminate the bad habits. So, the book mainly speaks about four key points about eliminating bad habits. So, one of them are identifying your triggers. So, to take a list of your bad habits, make a list of the bad habits that you have, and look at the list of the bad habits and figure out the who, the what, and where. Those type of questions you need to keep on asking for yourself on why are you doing that in a consistent and on a daily basis. So when identifying that, you get to understand how to deal with it and how to overcome those types of bad habits. And the other thing is that it's not an easy way to to overcome the bad habit in a one single day. It will be have to be a sort of a routine sort of thing. You need to do. you need to be consistent, and you need to be doing it every day to overcome that. So taking small steps is one of the key things to eliminate the bad habits. And for some of your old habits, it may be more effective to take small steps to ease into unwinding them. And the other thing is that you basically need to change to have a change in your lifestyle. Maybe we all are different, and some researchers have found that it can be paradoxically easier for us people to make lifestyle changes if they change a great many bad habits at once. So these are the three typical things, the key points that mentioned in the book to the strategies for eliminating the bad habits. So the book explains in a more detailed way, and there are a lot more other points. But these are the things that I found to be key, useful, and easy to cope up with. So those are the strategies of eliminating bad habits that I want to mention in the book from that book.
Right. Now, that was some really important and crucial points we all should know, because at some point in life we all have bad habits, let's say. It can be simple ones, not waking up early on time, not putting away procrastinating our work, which is said to be done in time. So I think, like Harsh said, the small changes, the baby steps you take would actually lead you to a greater progression of eliminating the bad habits and asking yourself the three questions. I even read that in the book Ikigai, and it was actually told, and I feel how much power those three words have, which actually could change your and shape your life, which is so fascinating. Right. Now, back to Devanmi's story. I mean, book. So, Devami, what did you like about the book? What was your special thing in this book?
Well, what I liked about is Rosalind's character basically, which is so relatable to children these days, especially me sometimes, because when it comes to speaking up, we all find it a little difficult sometimes. And Rosalind's character just, put it out there. It gave us a person to relate with. And when the next thing is like, sometimes you're afraid to speak up, yes, and it takes time, but when you do, you feel really powerful. You feel proud for speaking up because it's the right cause, because you put your thoughts out there, and that's all that matters. Another thing I do love is Rosalind's confidence, and even when she was being bullied by herself, she didn't mind it much, but when she saw the people being bullied, she decides to create this blog, help people, and help children around her own age to speak up and get everything out there. And she had this urge to stand up to the mistreated, and it just makes me feel like she's a really good character. And the book gave out some really important life lessons along the way, and with a mix of humor and sorrow, and it was just a really heartfelt book.
Just made me fall in love with that character. It's like one point I really agree with you is about speaking up point, and it actually relates to many kids out here nowadays, especially ever since COVID hit and that quarantine phase. All that it just made everyone so antisocial, or like there's still people even before that who feels very insecure to speak up, to say their words, and bullying was very common among them. And I like how this character is actually, it's even someone one of the audience read it and they feel like, okay, I'm not alone, and that gives a major support. I'm not even gonna lie, that gives you a feel. So I really think that was one of my favorite part too from as what you said, and I really have to go read that book. Right. Now back to Harish. One of your last questions. What are the techniques to install good habits in a person? Harish, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So as I said before, changing the lifestyle is one of the key techniques to install good habits. So set yourself up to succeed. You need to embrace the change to have a great impact on your lifestyle. And any new habit has to work inside your life and also in your lifestyle. So that is one of the key techniques to install good habits. And talking about others, like finding a success buddy, find someone who has the same sort of the goals that he wants to achieve as you are. So having a success buddy is a key thing to to grow further and to know where you stand at on your point, and also have a competitive spirit. That's what most of the people are lacking in. You need to have that sort of a spirit, or maybe a friendly contest that makes you push further apart from your capability. So to have that, you need to to have a competitive spirit and immerse yourself in a new habit with a bang. So when you identify a competitive spirit, you need to enhance your knowledge and skills, and you get to know and learn further. So that's how I got into learn the habit of reading. Actually, I used to go to people who read books, and that's how I found the habit of reading. And so far, I have gained more such of knowledge that I being able to adapt to. And finally, I want to talk about is to celebrate every moment in your life. You get to live only once, and your time is limited. So you get to celebrate everything, even a small moment. There should be a time to celebrate. So to enjoy some of the fruits of your victories along the way, even a small key thing you need to celebrate, and that's all the healthy good habits that can be installed in yourself. So those are the key things that I want to mention throughout the book that states in the book. Yeah.
Well, that was some really important and good points because I could like 100% relate to you regarding how you got into habit of reading because that's really how even I came to because I was around always a gang of friends who are readers, especially Potterheads. Those overwhelming books all there, and wherever I go the conversation will be majority about books, and I felt left out, and that's when I felt okay, I should read, I should react to the standards among them when they read about books because I don't want to feel unknown or like zoned out in that moment. And also having like a good buddy, like a person who actually has the same motive of you, rather than having a friend who just lying around doesn't do much work. It's not going to motivate you to go forward. At one point you might feel okay, he's like this, I also can be like that, it's no harm. But it's actually very good to have a very like a friendly work buddy with good habits who will inspire you in the same time to do good and like to prosper in what you do. And that jealousy thing also should not be there because jealousy can, any friend can be jealous of how good you do. So finding someone who's not jealous, who's ready to help you, and who is very good and supportive in what you do is a really good thing, and it's good habits to follow. And I guess I really love those all what you said. It really matched so much. Now, coming back to the last question for Devami. So, what are the key takeaways you can take from this book, Devami?
The key takeaways I got from this book, there's a lot, but I managed to minimize it down for some a few ones. One thing I got is your voice is your weapon, and it is up to you to decide if you're going to use it for good or if you're going to use it for bad. And the next thing I knew is like speaking up is a scary thing, but with help you can achieve anything, right? And trust on those you love and who supports you. They always give you the best advice, and you can't do anything without them because you feel like you're alone, but you're not when you know there are people who love you. And if you ever find yourself being in a certain situation, I hope you're not. Ask for help. That is the key thing that I got from this help. Rosalind asked for help. She begged for forgiveness. She made amends, and all because of help that she got from her friends, her little brother, and her parents, her favorite teachers. Look for solutions and stay confident and true to yourself. That's what I got from this book.
Right. There are some really powerful messages. Like this book is throughoutly giving some good, powerful stuff which everyone can relate. And I really love about the voice that your voice is your weapon, which is so true. Like if you don't speak up for yourself, no one else would do. And we should really keep that in mind because let's say I want to fight for myself, but I'm insecure. No one's gonna do it for you. No one knows what you want to speak. Even if they know, they're not ready to do it unless you have this really special people who could do it for you. So I think it's best, even if you're an introvert or even if you're like the girl in the character, speaking up is the best thing you can do for yourself. And ask for help is another really important thing, I feel, because like at one point, you how much you bottle up yourself. I don't think we can keep it to ourselves. It's best we go as well. But if we really don't want to, speak a lot, go and speak to the one you're most comfortable with. Can be a friend, family, whoever that is, because that will actually help you. It's like half the burden is gone. So this book really gives some relatable and, after all, a very powerful key takeaways that I really love, and I can't wait to read the book. Right. Now, Harish, your last question is, what are the ways to set goals?
Well, then talking about setting goals. So what the book says is that when you define your goals, your brains you give your brain something new to look and to focus on. So talking about goals and what how successful or top people have very clear goals. So they are successful because they set very clear goals and they know who they are and their potential and they know what they want. So what the top four successful people would do is that they write it down the goals and they make plans to make it accomplishment. So they set their goals, they plan it out, and to find a way to achieve those certain goals. You need to have a proper plan and a path. Without having a proper path, you cannot achieve what you're going. You will be sort of in a midway of nothing on the path. So that's the key things to setting up goals. So that's what the unsuccessful people carry their fail in the certain times, certain amount of times. So because they just keep their goals in their mind and their head, and they just don't create that the path to that the heaven path or something. So those are the key things, and also you need to make a list of your most important goals. So speaking about goals, there are short term, long term, and there are goals that you think will be needed in the future but not now. So make the necessary goals that you feel to have to achieve now, and make a list of it, and make a list of the most important goals. So go for the whole life success, balancing all the aspects in life that are important to you, whether in terms of the business, finances, health and well-being. So also in terms of the spirituality, family, and so on. So make it according to the goals that you need to achieve in certain amount of time, rather than experiencing to be having a goal when you're in the 60 years old, rather than living into your 20s or 30s. So make appropriate goals and settings so you may be able to be in the right path to achieve it. So those are the key things that mention in the book to the ways that to set goals and achieve them.
Yes. Now, I think you just shared some one of the best world's best people, the world's richest people's secrets. If Elon Musk says this, he's gonna be like, "Why do you expose me?" Well, jokes apart, this is actually like, there's nothing extravagant to do best in life. It's just simple, and it's goals like you prioritize your tasks, and you work accordingly, write them down like you said, and then organize into short term and long term and ways you can achieve it, and focus completely on it. There's no way you can get out of it. Like, you're really into it, you committed yourself, you will do it. Well, that's the one thing I like about this book so much. And coming back, like, speaking about the two books we spoke today, I'm like stunned, because over here we spoke about a book related to mental health, and over here we're speaking about very intelligent stuff, things we also need in daily life. And this side also, I'm just glad I got to know these two books and the audience too. So I hope, I guess everyone will love the two books we spoke about today. With that, we have come to the end of our session. So, thank you so much to our wonderful and amazing two panelists, Harish and Devani, for sharing interesting, valuable insights from these two wonderful books. And I would also like to thank our audience for your support and positive feedback on today's Flipside session. If you would like to know more about Pick a Book, please visit www.pickabookclub.com pickabook.club or contact them on 077 554 8283. With that, thank you everyone for joining in and hope you have a wonderful week ahead. And we'll see you all in another flip session. Thank you and bye.
Thank you. Bye.